at 11.
I say to the American people, when America gets knocked down, we get back up. We keep going. That's America.
President Biden delivering his third State of the Union address tonight. Tonight's speech, arguably one of Mr. Biden's most important, comes 8 months before the presidential election.
As expected during this divisive time in Washington and our country, his words received some mixed reviews from Congress. Fox's Connor Hansen breaks down what happened.
In his third State of the Union address, President Biden laid out his vision for a second term and tried to draw a stark contrast from his likely Republican challenger, former President Donald Trump.
The President of the United States.
President Biden touted his accomplishments on infrastructure, manufacturing, and the economy.
My inherited economy is on the brink. Now our economy is literally the envy of the world. 15 million new jobs in just 3 years, a record, a record.
The president telling millions of Americans the country is in a better place, even as polls show voters remain frustrated over high prices.
Wages keep going up, inflation keeps coming down.
While also calling for unity on key issues like immigration, crime, and the wars in Ukraine and Gaza.
I say this to Congress, we have to stand up to Putin. Send me a bipartisan national security bill. History is literally watching.
He also courted voters.
If you, the American people, send me a Congress that supports the right to choose, I promise you, I'll restore Roe v. Wade as the law of the land again.
And took a swipe at the dark tones cast by his expected 2024 election challenger, former President Donald Trump.
I will not demonize immigrants saying they are poison in the blood of our country. I will not separate families. I will not ban people because of their faith.
President Biden's next stop, the campaign trail. He plans to head to Georgia this weekend. Former President Trump also plans to be there. On Capitol Hill, Connor Hansen, Fox 2 News.
Alabama Senator Katie Britt gave the Republican response to the address.
She claimed Mr. Biden inherited what she called the most secure border of all time and caused the border crisis.
President Biden's border policies are a disgrace. This crisis is despicable. And the truth is, it is almost entirely preventable. From fentanyl poisonings to horrific murders, there are empty chairs tonight at kitchen tables just like this one.
Now the lawmakers are reacting to tonight's address.
Fox 2's Roop Raj was given exclusive access to the White House earlier today. He joins us live from Washington tonight. Roop, what have you been hearing?
Well, we've been hearing, from some Republicans who say that he just hasn't gone far enough when it comes to the border. We talked to many Democrats who say he's on the right track when it comes to the economy. Together, they really did add up to a lot of noise inside the House chambers tonight. Just hours before President Biden delivered his speech to the nation, 7 television stations from Austin to Atlanta joined Detroit's own Fox 2 News as part of a regional summit previewing the president's speech, beginning with Karine Jean-Pierre, the White House press secretary.
The president takes that very seriously. He's actually spoken about it directly to the American people. You know, he understands that. He understands how Americans could feel about his age. Here's what I will say. With age comes experience. I just laid out his accomplishments over the last 3 years. He has done more in the first 3 years than most presidents have done in 2 terms.
The second highest leader in the Republican House is Majority Leader Steve Scalise, talking to me hours before the speech. Americans, he says, have spoken out about the state of the border.
He ended the Remain in Mexico protocol, which was working really well to stave off illegal immigration. He mandated catch and release that said if you come here illegally, you're immediately going to get released into the interior of the country. And we don't even know how many millions of people have now come in because they don't even keep track.
Back at the White House summit on this big day in Washington, gun violence taking center stage. I asked Greg Jackson with the Office of Gun Violence Prevention at the White House about violence that hit us too close to home. That shooting is still fresh in the minds as that father is going to trial this week. What message do you have for the people in Oxford and other towns like that that have seen gun violence about what this office can do to help at the school level to prevent stuff like this from happening again?
One, how do we provide more resources for youth that are in crisis? Sadly, when we see these moments where youth are getting firearms to cause harm to themselves or others, it's very predictable.
Thursday night, the president talked about reproductive rights. As a Catholic, President Biden towing the line around his faith, but ultimately on a woman's right to choose. Congresswoman Debbie Dingell.
Roop, I am a Catholic woman, and I could never have an abortion, but I know that there's a separation between church and state, and every woman has the right to make her own health care decisions.
And finally, the Israel conflict with Hamas in Gaza. Ben LeBolt, White House Communications Director, telling me it's an important part of the president's evolving stance on the war.
Working with regional partners to get to a different outcome on the ground. They've taken action to get humanitarian aid into Gaza. They're working to get a hostage deal. That hostage deal would put in place a 6-week ceasefire on which a more enduring ceasefire could be built from, and they believe that the Israelis have a right to defend themselves.
You know, dropping those leaflets of medication and food and diapers into Gaza, it can be really expensive, but money well worth it. Anybody will tell you to help those people right now. But in the meantime, tonight at the State of the Union, the president, I think the only new thing he laid out when it comes to the particular conflict in Gaza is the fact that he says instead of just airdropping these supplies, he says there should be a pier set up in which mass distributions of food can be given so that we can help the people of Gaza, something that got a lot of applause from both sides of the political aisle. The question will be, will it be enough in the next 8 months for the people who voted uncommitted, especially in the state of Michigan and Minnesota, 100,000 plus in Michigan who voted uncommitted because of the war in Gaza right now? Will it be enough? That's to be seen. Reporting live in Washington, Roop Raj, Fox 2 News.
Roop, you have been immersed in D.C. the last couple of days. Moving forward, any pundit will tell you that Michigan is going to be key in this election. Is that the sense that you're getting on the ground, especially after the issues we heard talked about tonight?
You know, when we left the White House, we were talking to the communications team about seeing them later. They said we want to do more of these types of summits when it comes to key battleground states and key television stations in the country. And one thing that was said without maybe saying it overtly was the fact that they will be in touch, because this president, you better believe, will be back in Michigan, and so will his opponent, Donald Trump. I guarantee you that in the next 8 months, several times. And I think we'll be seeing those visits, Jessica. And by the way, you can hear behind me the cacophony of sirens. That's because you have world leaders like the Prime Minister of Sweden, who's leaving now the capital, heading presumably back to the White House. We actually saw, by the way, Jessica, the Prime Minister of Sweden pull in. We were told, Kent Culpert, my photographer, and I, to stay back. We were pushed back by Capitol Police. We saw the motorcade come by. This is a high-profile night in this town, but really, more than anything, this is what the American people have to decide. Does what the president say today really hit home? And if it does, they may cast their ballot. If it doesn't, then he missed the mark.
Excellent work. Thank you so much, Roop.
A great job of Roop and Kent representing for Fox 2 and Detroit and Michigan. Well, you heard Roop mention the uncommitted voters. Well, here at home, as President Biden gave his address, his critics gathered to watch in Dearborn.
Many of them just voted uncommitted on the Democratic primary. Fox 2's Dave Kinchin was there. He joins us live. Hi, Dave.
Yeah, many of the folks here tonight were involved in that vote uncommitted movement, and they say that was just the beginning along with this event tonight. Typically, a political watch party is thrown in support of a political candidate.
So it united the humanity.
But that's hardly the case at the abandoned Biden campaign's State of the Union watch party in Dearborn.
The speech tonight is just an election gimmick.
Farah Khan is a spokesperson for the campaign and says this event will be one of several anti-Joe Biden efforts taking place this campaign season, hosted by members of Metro Detroit's Arab American community, protesting the lack of a ceasefire in Gaza and the Biden administration's support for Israel.
You can see all these footages of starving children, dying children. I mean, it just breaks my heart as a mother. I mean, really? You kill all my children and then you ask me that I will vote for you? Absolutely not.
It's also a continuation of the widespread vote uncommitted effort during the Michigan primary, which pulled in more than 100,000 votes February 27th. And Michiganders have chosen presidents by smaller margins than that.
That is just giving Mr. President a little bit of taste of what he has coming in November. So I think we will be working very hard, mobilizing the people and making sure that they vote not for Biden.
As the death toll climbs in Gaza, the abandoned Biden campaign says their resolve only strengthens.
It's not a concession, it's a necessity. It's human life and ceasefire and the stopping of genocide and supplying the humanitarian aid that's like terribly needed. This is a must. It should happen regardless.
And the abandoned Biden campaign says their work is in no way an endorsement of former President Donald Trump. Reporting live in Dearborn, Dave Kinchin on The Edge.
Let's talk about a rainmaker coming our way for late in the day tomorrow, and especially tomorrow night. There it is, off to our south and west. Today was a pretty nice day. We had sun and clouds. We made it up to 53, 39, the morning low. Take a look at the numbers now. It is cooling off out there. 38 Ann Arbor, 41 Mount Clemens, 40 up in Pontiac. But the coldest of the air is still way up to our north. Watch what happens over time. That slow-moving cold front will bring some showers to the area tomorrow afternoon, tomorrow night, and again on Saturday. Then it's brisk and colder for Sunday. You'll see it all in the 7-day forecast. Cool and dry tonight, down to 37. Tomorrow we're back to 55. And then check out that 7-day forecast right there. Chilly on Sunday. Remember, clocks forward 1 hour Saturday night. A warm-up comes next week. We'll check it at 4 a.m.